It's monthly Mormon Mondays. It's time for the secret handshake. Tune in and race through the veil. It's time for monthly Mormon Monday.
This is an especially spooky edition of Monthly Mormon Monday. It's the October Special, and we're going to talk about Mormon Witchcraft and the connection between Joseph Smith and Salem Witch Trials and magical talismans and a surprise, something new that Heidi's going to drop that I don't even know about. So she said that she wasn't going to tell me behind stage. We were talking for a while. She wouldn't drop any of it. She's like, it's going to have to be a surprise on the show. So this is Heidi Love. I'm Paranoid American. What do you got? What's the Halloween surprise?
Oh man, do I have some stuff about Salem for you. And I love the research that I find when I don't mean to find it. That's like the best, most favorite kind of research, because I was just researching for a spooky season show. I interviewed a really famous author that does the Salem Witch Trials, and Marilyn Roach. And so, she
That's the author's
brought
name, Marilyn Roach.
I think it's Mary Ann or Marilyn. I can't remember how she spells it different. But yes, last name Roach. She does the six women of Salem and 6 men of Salem coming out soon. So I like to shout her out because she has been doing this research for 27 years. And I even told her something she didn't know. So I felt kind of proud. I was like, and I'm going to share it because I'm going to share my screen soon as we get into this.
Okay. All right. Well, I mentioned that this won't be a complete rehash or anything, but for anyone that's not familiar, one of the most interesting parts, like again, Mormonism is so weird. There's so many things you're like, oh, by the way, did you know that Joseph Smith was married to the widow of Captain Morgan, the guy that spawned the anti-Masonic party? Okay, what a weird, interesting coincidence. Oh, by the way, did you also know that he is a blood relative of someone that was an instigator, a key player at the Salem Witch Trials? And we've talked about this before, and you mentioned that one of your interpretations of this is that it's almost like, hey, look, she's a witch, and she's a witch, and just start throwing some accusations because he was the witch, and it's better if you kind of like put the blame on everyone else as like a misdirection. So that, I don't know, is that canon? I don't think the church agrees with that particular interpretation.
Well, I definitely think they'd rather us steer clear from Massachusetts, all the way clear. They always say, like, if you talk to anybody, like if I asked you, hey, where did all this stuff happen with the Mormons and Joseph Smith originally, you would probably say, do you know?
I don't know.
New York, right? Palmyra is their like holy grail.
Isn't Elvira around there too?
I don't know about Elvira, but Palmyra is there. And so people want to, basically take their whole past life and say, oh, it just started over here. No, it didn't. That's not what they're from. And so I started doing, what I do best, doing a little genealogy research. I guess it rubbed off. My grandma was a genealogy Mormon missionary. How gross is that? So yeah, I guess following in those
kind of
footsteps.
in their, it's literally, no pun intended, it's in their blood, right? It's in Mormons' blood to be obsessed with genealogy.
Absolutely it is, because they need to do necromancy, and they can't do necromancy until they get the names. They need the names, even your name, even your family's name. Don't matter.
Is that true? I've never heard that. It makes sense. So you need to know a dead person's name in order to perform necromancy with them?
So we need their name, their date of birth, their date of death, where they lived, and where they get married. Okay. And all
you're talking about the Mormon baptismal baths, right?
Not just that. Then they do your temple work after that. So
wait. What else did they do after the bath? I thought the bath was it.
Oh, no. We even have people writing. This is hysterical, and I wish I could remember the guy's name, but JJ told me about this guy that wrote in his will, "Do not let these damn Mormons baptize me after I die." And it was before it even came out. And then I was like, "What?" So he had the whole historical document. It made me laugh, and I was like, why is he talking about this before they even have it? It wasn't out yet
But
that they were
realistically,
doing
you can't prevent Mormons from baptizing you after
that.
you die.
Nope.
They don't even need your body.
Yep. They don't need crap. They just need a very distant relation. So it can be as distant as the day is long, has to be your family. And if you're part of that family, even if it's a step family or whatever, they're going to baptize you and then they're going to seal you to your spouse for time and all eternity. So I hope you didn't hate them. And then they're going to seal your children to you. And then they're also going to do your temple rites. So that's all the things they do.
Can they undo any of that?
I mean, technically, no. Technically, I'm still married to my first husband for time
You
and all.
can't like say it in reverse or something and like undo. What if you accidentally seal the wrong kid to the wrong parent? Like someone
Oh,
flubs the paperwork.
right. It could be that, but usually they'll just say, "Oh, God works that out in heaven." And I can have another guy if I want to get good into the church and I want to go back to the temple. I can have somebody step in for my ex-husband and be his proxy. And now they just switch places. It's like you don't, yeah, it's weird.
But
And
if
so,
God works it all out in heaven anyways, why the hell are we doing his paperwork for him?
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. They always have a double-ended answer to everything. It's very,
Okay, I hope we're not
I,
manning
yeah.
Mormons here too much right off the bat.
I love it. The fair article on the Bigfoot story was my favorite because they were like, "How gullible do you people have to be to believe that Cain was Bigfoot?" And then they go, "And anyways, he wasn't even there." And so I was like, "Wait, what? Did you just say it, I thought he wasn't a thing, but if he was there, it's not important because yeah, no." And then they go about some other way of explaining it. And I was like, "Wait, no. Just stick with the first answer." And second of all, Mormon church, if you really want to solidify things, just say, yeah, he is. Yep, he's Bigfoot. Because then if you do that, how are they going to prove you wrong? Duh. Get a new
Well,
PR.
honestly, it's another selling point that they're leaving on the table, I think. Because
Right?
if they came out and they said, "Look, we're also the religion," the whole pork, it's the other white meat campaign. It's like, no, it's not.
Right.
That's not really white meat. It's
Right.
still red
Right.
meat. It's just a marketing campaign. There should be an alternate Mormon campaign, like it's the other white magic or something. And they say,
Right.
"Look, we got the hats, we got the Orm and Thummim, we got the talisman and the newts and the frogs. What are you going to do about it? It's a magical time." And we believe in Bigfoot, we believe in planets, we believe in interdimensions, we believe in reincarnation. I really
Right.
do
We
think
did
that they
it.
can pass
What?
this net
Yeah.
and you get a whole influx of people that thought that you had to be a dirty hippie in order to get in with any of that stuff. And they don't realize there's a version of that where you can still shave and take showers.
Right. No, and wear a tie. Yeah, you can still wear your little tight tie that's cutting off your, oxygen to your brain. But no, they just don't do any of that. And instead they went the CIA route and they're like, let's just MK Ultra everybody. That'll be fine. So I don't know why they won't, just fly with the magic. They're definitely related to it.
Well, let's justify the title so it's not clickbait.
Oh,
Mormon
it's not quite.
Witchcraft. So my understanding from Heidi's biased perspective, that's going to get me maybe excommunicated before I even get a chance in. But
No, they'll just be mad
that
at me. I'm not
but
even
let me
excommunicated. So no.
correct me or build on to this if I've got any of this wrong. But that early Mormon beliefs were essentially American folklore, all kind of bundled up together. It was like occult folklore, like
Well,
folk magic.
they definitely like to say occult magic. It's kind of my most unfavorite thing to say because it's really Solomonic magic. And, we're going to look at the family from
Well,
this
it's occult,
place.
no?
Yeah, it's more occult. It's way more occult than folk magic. It's a different branch, but I mean, it sounds better. It sounds less scary, right? Solomonic magic sounds like ooh, spooky. But
Is this
magic,
true,
eh.
Heidi? Am I not going to get in for having horrible connections in my past, or what's my
Oh, you're
best
gonna get
chance of getting
baptized.
in?
No, if you get baptized, it's all forgiven. You get to have one
Well, I don't
chance.
like. Why do they care so much about the baptism? They can just do it after I die. Like, why do they need me to do it now while I'm
Nah.
alive?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta work that out with somebody that you know and get that snuck in if you want to go that route. But you are a menace to society because you don't have a wife yet. Remember this.
Okay, is that like make you
That
worse
used
than a
to be.
criminal?
No, it used to be the thing, but it's not anymore. But I still think it's funny. And you used to have 3 wives or not go to heaven. The FLDS still believe a lot of this stuff. So it depends on which branch you go to. Depends on if you want to be Amish or not. You want to be Amish or
Are
no?
there no? There's a lot of work involved in being Amish. You're like raising barns and stuff all the time.
Right, yeah.
Are there secret polygamies in like because to be
Mhm.
official, like outwardly polygamist, you got to be kind of living against the law. Some of them go to Mexico, some of them go in like these little cult compounds where like they kind of know they're doing that, but they just
Yeah.
don't feel like dealing with it. But are like how frequent is it in just a normal neighborhood that one guy just has 3 wives and they just aren't like they kind of hide it a little bit?
Oh no, 100%. No, 100% that's happening. In the FLDS, that's basically how they do it. And they did it so well. And they did something called bleeding the beast. And that's where they were getting paid out, a lot of welfare checks and food stamps and stuff for these other wives because technically, by law, you can only be married to one wife, right, at a time. So these other ones are single ladies just having your babies. And they did that for a little while. And then the government didn't think that was very funny. So they got in trouble. Yeah, they still, they believe, we're going to talk about the white horse prophecy sometime. And if I were a person that had never been affiliated with Mormonism in my life, I don't know that I would trust anybody that was a Mormon in that capacity because
What capacity?
in any kind of governmental capacity, because they're going to be loyal first to the church, period. That's the way it works, and they're gonna tell you to
Yeah.
do whatever you wanna hear. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I see what you're saying, and I agree with you. I would say
Yes.
maybe that we could find a system where it's built in that people that are part of government are going to act in their own self-interests and against the interests of the great, and that you just have something that counters that like just the same way that capitalism is an imperfect system but it's great because it incorporates greed, like it's built around greed and not in ignorance of it. So
Well,
maybe there needs to be like a government that
let's
understands that people are going to like turn into like little cabals and try and run things.
let's review something really quickly before I go into tonight's presentation. Let's review something called the cult of the black sticks, okay? And
Of the
if
who, the who's
people
what's the
the
black
cult of the black sticks. And this is important because of what we're talking about currently. And what this is they swore an oath when Joseph Smith died that they would not only just go against the government, but they would get them back. They would get back the government and then some. And these people that swore into this cult of the black sticks got the coffin canes that were all bloody and disgusting from the coffin bodies rotting away for months and months. And then they took them and they made them into canes. And funny enough, they're oak canes. I've been doing a lot of studying on the golden bough. That's been really helpful to me. And I find it fascinating that they made these oak canes and then they took the hair from the brothers and put them in the knob here. And these are real. You can go see them at the Church History Museum.
Thank you, Christopher Anti-Dumbass. We appreciate you.
I didn't even see. Sorry. But yeah, so you can go do that. But they swore an oath to get vengeance against the government because of Joseph Smith's death. So would I trust that 100%? I mean, the canes of martyrdom. I just don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I kind of commiserate. Like I've got some bones to pick too. I'm not going to say I'm anti-American, but I feel anti-government.
Yeah, but to a point where did you build an office in your house for when you become president? Like, They did that at the temple in Washington, D.C. In fact, they made a complete replica of, the Capitol's presidential office so that when it's
Really?
time, yeah.
Wait, so have you ever heard of Nathan Fielder's The Rehearsal series?
I've not.
Okay, it's actually a plot line, and it's like a reality comedy show,
See,
but he
stole it
wants
from
to
Mormons.
go and talk to the House of Representatives, and he recreates that little room that you go in, and he practices over and over what he's gonna say to like this board of people. But you're saying the Mormons did this hundreds of years before
So
the TV
many.
show?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. It's one of these things where we see it and we go, okay, what's happening here? And do they still have this, right? And what is ultimately the goal? But now we don't have to worry anymore because they're so intertwined with the government. We're screwed. If that is really the case, they're going to run this bitch. So it is what it is. Do I think they'll run it alone? No. They started making loans under David M. Kennedy to the Vatican, and that's why they're chummy. And
I'm on board with you. I'm not even kidding. I really think that if the Mormons and the Vatican teamed up, and it seems like they're at least peers now, right? They're like co-workers, or at least they are associates in some way. So they're not necessarily combining forces yet, but if they did, man, I don't know. I feel like they would have all of the religious mysticism kind of covered, at least mainstream wise.
Let's look at Mormonism and Scientology. They're not going to have any arguments. Not at all. Let's look at Islam and Mormonism. They're kind of the same.
Wait. How does Islam and Mormonism work together?
Well, you go back to the Sufis, right? People should do history searches. This all goes back to magical orders and, Templarism, and ultimately clear back to Babylon. And we always know it does. But, nobody's left behind. They heard the slogan, leave nobody behind, right? And they invited them all to come. And everybody says, oh, one day there's going to be a one world order. And I'm like, you're late to the party. They already have it. And I think they're just waiting for the moment where they're like, ta-da. We can see it in their banking practices, to be quite frank. So,
well, there's some incompatibilities with Catholicism and Mormonism, though, right? Like, for example, I don't think the Vatican. I mean, what do I know, right? I'm on the outside looking in a little bit, but the Vatican has still explicitly banned Freemasonry, and Mormonism arguably is like a branch of Freemasonry under a big enough umbrella, right?
They don't. They used to outlaw it in Mormonism, but they don't anymore. You can freely join Freemasonry.
Well, I mean, that's kind of silly though. Like, Mormonism is Freemasonry.
I know.
To say that you can't,
but it used to be not, because they were like.
I get it. But the Catholic Church is still that. Technically, on paper, you're not allowed to be a Freemason. So I would think that if you're a Mormon, you're kind of like a proxy Freemason, whether you want to be or not.
Yeah, you are.
You're like at least 0.5% Freemason, no matter what you want. If you went to the endowment ceremony, there's no taking that back, right? So technically,
you're
it's
in.
incompatible.
Yeah, you're somehow in, and even if you don't know you're in, I mean, I guess that counts. I think that's unfair, quite, but and that's my whole reason for blabbing so much, is not because I'm mad at the Mormons. People always say, oh, you hate the Mormons so much. I'm like, listen, I don't hate the Mormons. I just think it's unfair that they don't tell the truth. And I think that's okay. I don't know. People have a hard time with that, but I don't. And where did it all begin, right? Like, who saved the Mormon church when the Mormon church was going under? The Rothschilds did.
I've never heard that before either.
There's a lot that I've been learning. I've been a busy girl, but amongst this busyness, I ran smack into Salem. And I think it's really weird that they want you to believe that these people were poor farmers with no means and their family were no one. Does this look like the house of a poor farmer back in the day? We're talking old, okay? Before, like, the grandpa was born in 1666. Isn't that fun? 1660. I think
that's not his fault, though, right?
No, not at all. But it is curious, but we're talking old. This house is pretty nice. Like, I'm saying this is a pretty nice house. And this guy, I mean, here's a better picture of it before it got old, right? So what is going on? Like, why does he have land and a really nice house? And by the way, when he signs his name, guess what he puts at the end? Esquire. That's right. That's not a dumb farmer. Okay. This is the silliest thing ever. And then he has a son that is a captain, Captain Samuel Smith. And so we're looking at all this going, wait a minute. This is literally Joseph Smith's father's grandpa. Okay. So why are they trying to hide that these people are from not Salem? No. We couldn't be from Salem. It's Salem, but it's Topsfield. Topsfield is in the Salem lines right there. And they were involved very much so in this whole Salem witchcraft trial. Okay. And then I was like, well, whatever. Maybe, it's just a coincidence. I mean, who is this guy? Right. I got to figure this out. So of course I did. I tried to figure it out. No, I didn't figure it all out, but I found out some stuff. So when Samuel Smith was born, 26 January, 1666 in Topsfield, Massachusetts Bay Colony, his father, Robert Smith Jr., was 40 and his mother, Mary French, was 31. He married Rebecca Curtis in Topsfield, Essex, Massachusetts Bay Colony, British colonial America. And they were parents of 2 sons and 7 daughters. He died 12th of July, 1748. Okay, so we definitely have, this is straight from like the Mormon websites. There's no ifs, ands, or buts like that this happened.
But this is, just to be clear, he couldn't have been a Mormon because Mormonism didn't exist yet.
Right. But they were very interesting. And we know that through his Uncle Johnny and these people are very, they're not your average churchgoers. Okay. They're called, why can't I think of the name right now, where they believe in like sort of everything. I'll remember here in a minute.
Unitarian?
And no, it's more controversial. I'll think of it in a minute, but they were kind of on the outskirts of the norm. Okay. And they're very involved in this whole situation with this woman named Mary Easty. Okay. And anybody, or Etsy, or it's spelled like a whole bunch of different ways. So we have to figure out like, well, why does this even matter? Like, why is she even talking about this? Okay. Well, Samuel Smith, he has this interaction with this woman that was in the last group of people hung, period, in Salem for witchcraft. He was one of the people that literally put the nail in her coffin because he was one of the few men that testified against. So it's interesting to me that Samuel Smith, who got into an argument 5 years before, so this dude holds a grudge. This is a grudge holding man. Holy cow. He says when he was returning home, he suffered a blow to his shoulder from an invisible force and then heard a nearby stone wall rattle. So it must have been a witch. And it definitely was Mary because she said he was being, quote, rude. That's it. And I mean, I'm just saying, the Smith people have been involved in multiple things where they weren't exactly careful with their word choices. I mean, let's be real. Tarred and feathered, thrown out a window. I mean, whatever. It's fine. But what I'm saying is they were people that spoke their mind. So yeah, he probably was rude. So this Mary Easty, she literally gets hung over this situation. Even though she was once found innocent, they got her out, and then the girls started saying again, oh, she's doing this again to us. She's doing this again and again.
They didn't have double jeopardy laws back then, right?
Yep. Nope. They put her right back in and back she goes. And so I find it really weird though, that like the Samuel Smith is involved in this. Okay. But that one's weird enough. Okay. That one's a little bit strange enough. But then we get to the second part of it, which most people don't even know, is that Sarah Wilds was the second wife of John Wilds, who just happened to be the former brother-in-law of John Gould. Well, Gould is all over the Salem Witch Trials. If anybody knows anything about Salem Witch Trials, you guys know that this is like one of the main names involved, right along with the Putnams. Okay. And the Goulds had been fighting for years back and forth over land and inheritance money. And they just happen to be the parents of Priscilla, who marries Samuel's son, the next Samuel II. So they are literally family. They're literally family. And so when you look at this, and I'm not just going to say it, I'm going to show you guys the actual document from the Salem Witchcraft vaults here in just one second. But it's all laid out right here with their initial names and then how they changed and how the marriages were and everything, because it's important, right? The Smith and Town families had 7 marriages between 2 families from among their children. So it's not like they just knew each other a little bit. They're tight. Okay. So he's literally not only a part of accusing somebody that was innocent, he's a part of accusing his own family. And so this is why I dare say they don't want us looking at Massachusetts whatsoever. This is the actual deposition and the legal paperwork, as you can see at the bottom, from Essex County Court Archives, which it shows everybody down at the bottom there. You guys can go look it up yourself if you like. But Mary Eastie was a very interesting person, as in she was one of the few people that actually brought to light that they didn't have any representation. And she wrote a petition as a woman. And that, I mean, back then that just wasn't that common. And she wanted to let everyone know she was innocent. Her sisters, one of them had already been killed, and they went after the whole family. And so, you know, we know that part of this is over
being a
land.
witch, she was killed.
They were all hung for being witches. Yep, these are actual women from the
They
Salem.
sound. I don't want to say, but they sound guilty to me.
No.
I don't want to pass judgment, but
well, I'll say that
same family. I don't know.
she was super pious. She was known to be part of the chosen and elect of the church, because back then there was only so many that were chosen that were going to be saved, and the rest kind of had to go to church anyway for no apparent reason because they weren't saved, which was weird. But if you didn't go, you're in trouble. There was a lot of scandalous behavior, even with the grandpa back then. Of course, treasure digging. Once again, we're digging all the time. But I find it fascinating, this date. Do you remember this date? September 22nd?
Remind me.
So what day is the fall equinox on, right? So it's the 21st, right? And then Joseph got the plates on the fall equinox after midnight because it was super late. And this
St.
happened
John's. No, is that St.
same
John's?
day, the same day. So Joseph Smith got the plates from Moroni on the same exact day. This lady was hung 100 years later, 150 years later, something like that. I found this fascinating.
When like the plot of Hocus Pocus.
When she hung, she said, "I am innocent and I will pay this back upon your heads." And so I don't know. Her petition did stop the actual hangings from continuing. She even gave up her life and said, "I understand that I must die, but I beg you to stop using spectral evidence against people," because she wasn't accused, only her specter was. So her spirit basically at nighttime that
That's rough, man.
roaming around.
What do you do if your spirit goes out and commits crimes and you're just asleep? Like, how are you supposed to stop your spirit from committing crimes?
I mean, right? I don't know. I guess you got to chain it up. I don't even know what to do.
How do you even do that, though?
Yeah, who knows? I don't know. I guess you got to draw a magic circle and you're accused of witchcraft. I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny, right? The only thing that can help you is actually witchcraft, so now you're kind of screwed.
I think it's actually funny because we also know something very interesting, right, about witchcraft trials at that time. Who were often the accusers were the alchemists that actually were practicing forms of magic. So what did they know about each other's families? Did she threaten them? Did she say, "I'm going to expose your little treasure digging baloney and your magic circle Solomonic magic of the Sufis, Mr. Smith"?
Treasure digging, like how would treasure digging be leverage over someone? It's not like treasure digging is illegal.
They were water witching with it. They were using divining rods, and they were drawing magic circles with all of the Solomonic seals. That's how the father did it as well. Interesting enough, also the knife, the Atame that we have from Joseph Smith Sr., it has a black handle on it, and that's very interesting for magic. And I'll show that again. We can do a little bit of our backward there, but I wanted to show this new evidence because I thought it was fascinating that she basically said, "You're going to pay for this because I'm innocent." Joseph gets, screwed in
I'm
the
not
end.
even kidding. I can think of at least like 6 different movies about witchcraft that start this exact way, where there's a
Right.
scorned woman that's not really a witch that curses a town or curses someone in the town. And you're saying, did she scorn the Smith family directly?
She scorned them all. She said, anybody that was involved with this, I am innocent and you will pay.
Okay,
Because
so that
God
includes
knows
the Smith
that
family.
I am free. Yep. She used the words, I am free. And even she was smart enough, I guess a lot of people would be talked into, oh, well, didn't you just do this? Didn't you just do that? And she said, no, I never did. And they said, well, what have you been doing with the devil? And she said, nothing. I prayed against him my whole life. So she was really eloquent the way she spoke. Like I said, the first one to make an eloquent petition. She stood up she sent it to the governor at this time, which, by the way, this Rebecca Nurse, Mitt Romney's descended from her. It's bananas. I mean, I couldn't make a better story if I tried, which is awesome because I don't have to try that hard. It's right there.
I want to say that's actually real. That's such a smart tactic, is to deny. Like, never, don't even give it a little like nano inch of space, right? Because I learned this the hard way too. When I was a little kid, I remember it's the hard way that I got into a fight and no one saw the fight. But the kid went and like told her afterwards. And since there was literally no witness, it was just one person's word against another person's word, and they went and like told the principal and everything. And I was just like, nope, didn't happen. This guy's making it up. He probably just fell down, like whatever. And then finally the principal was like, well, is it possible that, and then he made up like some hypothetical scenario where like the other kid tripped on my leg. Anyway, long story short, I was just like, I don't know, I'm in school. They're always talking to us about everything's possible and anything's possible. And I was like, I don't know, I guess it's possible. And man, it was the worst thing ever. And I immediately got in trouble and I got like suspended and everything. But I learned a very valuable lesson that day, and that's that like you never give an inch. Like if they don't have you on it, then you don't give yourself up on it.
I guess not. And I mean, but unless the ghost finds you.
But who's the ghost gonna tell?
I mean, maybe she pushed him out the window. I don't know. I'm just kidding on that, but
So these are
it is
ghosts that can
interesting.
physically manifest?
I don't know. I don't know what ghosts can do, but so many people have been speaking to dead people. Like, I just recently learned the guy with the Philosopher's Stone was speaking to an angel. So who knows? I don't know. Whatever. Flamel. That's another interesting rabbit hole. These people like know things that I think they definitely talk to spirits. Do I think they're disembodied spirits versus like dead people spirits? Yeah, I think they're probably disembodied spirits. But whatever. They seem to sometimes help them, and then let's swap wives.
All ghosts are disembodied spirits?
No, I mean, some are demons. I don't know.
How would you know the difference?
I don't know the truth. You got to. Oh wait, let me tell you what Joseph Smith says. You have to shake their hand.
Is that true?
Yes.
Where does he say that?
You got to look it up. It's in the Doctrine and Covenants. Yes, it says that.
Does he call them ghosts or spirits or what?
He says if a spirit comes to you and you need to check if it's good or bad, you have to shake its hand. I'll find it while we're talking.
I just have the most annoying questions ever. But like, what if you don't have hands?
I mean, I guess you got to shake toes or something.
Like, what if you don't have toes? I mean, like, what if you don't have the ability to like physically inspect them in the way that Joe? You know what? Too, I'm thinking, is that a Masonic reference that you have to shake a hand? That like they'll give you a secret handshake to let you know if they're a demon or not?
So here it is. Joseph Smith taught that to discern between heavenly messengers and deceitful spirits, one should offer to shake hands when a messenger appears. As described in Doctrine and Covenants 129, an angel will shake your hand and you will feel it. A spirit of a man made perfect will appear in his glory, but a fallen spirit like the devil will offer his hand and you will feel nothing. So just FYI, gotta shake their hand. I'm not kidding.
So if you go to shake someone's hand and they've got a weak, limp handshake, then they're a demon. That's what I'm getting from that.
Could be. Wicked spirits have their bounds.
That's why you want to have a firm handshake. It actually originates from Mormons determining who's ghosts and who's demons or something.
I'm telling you, Doctrine and Covenants 129. It's right there in black and white. He says it is.
Is that still canon, or has that been like?
No, it's in there. Yeah.
So if you went into a Mormon church, like
It would
any
think
regular
you're
Mormon
not.
church, you could open up the page and talk about shaking hands with ghosts.
Remember this. They're always going to be like, what? Do you want us to come to your house on Saturday to help you with your prayers? No, they're just going to redirect. They're the best at it. They're so good at it. Or they'll be like, what did you say? I got to go. I heard my phone. Like, I'll be back. Actually, my old neighbor, he was an ex-missionary and got sent home early, not because he did anything bad, because of the vid, right? The 2020. And he was a mission leader president thing. And he said, oh, and I asked him, what do you do with these hard questions? Like, what happens if somebody starts coming at you with ghost stories or something? And he said, oh no, we just have our phone and you type it in and it just comes up with what you should say.
So they're like tech support.
Yep. They have tech support.
There's like a Mormon app apparently that's really, I think we did an episode on like the best Mormon apps, and it's like the most popular one where you look up any hard question or independent thought that you might have, and it's like no you were wrong for thinking that, and here's why, and here's the answer.
Redirect. And this is why I say with the treasure digging, they might have gotten in trouble, because this is the sketch per verbatim Willard Chase's affidavit, not just some whammy bamby story. This is like a legal document affidavit, and he recreated this as far as how he described, and then they artistically drew it. So this is the stuff that's going on when they're looking for treasure. So do I think that possibly Mary Eastie might have pulled a flex and was like, you better cut it out? Like, maybe so. I don't know. She seems sassy. She seems real sassy. So maybe she got sassy back. Who knows? We'll never know. She got hung. So on the day.
Is this known or allowed to be talked about? This particular
They're not going to know. You could talk about it, but nobody's going to know this. I didn't even know this.
Trouble if someone overheard you in temple, like, oh hey, did you ever hear about this thing? And they're not even being derogatory. They're just like, hey, did you hear they went treasure digging and they lit a fire? Or would someone be like, you never bring that up again, or you're kicked out of here?
I think they would be more, they never are that. They're very passive aggressive people. So they would be like, there's better things we can talk about. Let's edify the prophet. That's how that's going to go. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. That kind of is edification. Like, you're telling me my God, my prophet is freaking Indiana Jones. That sounds pretty cool. How come we haven't talked about that yet?
I mean, here it is. He's got relics and everything, magical stones and papyri, and he knows things. He's got his magical talisman, and
I'm ready. I'm ready to sign up. I swear to God, I'm ready to sign up right now.
Just remember, they don't know any of this stuff anymore, so it's kind of boring now. It's not as good as the
Quorum of 12 does, right? Or do you think that even when you get to the Quorum of 12, they still don't have full insight on this?
No, I think the Quorum of the 12 does. You want to get on the Quorum of the 50, not the 12.
No, I know that's unrealistic, but I want to at least be like Kevin Bacon 3 degrees away. That's appropriate. 3 degrees away from the quorum.
Well, the Quorum of the 50 is the secret quorum that nobody speaks about, that actually has more influence on the church than most things. And they're not all Mormon. Fun fact.
Okay. How do we do this?
I wish I knew. I'm a girl.
I don't want to be
Andreas.
Texas, but I don't think you're allowed in the Quorum of the 50. I just got
Andreas. Andreas. Well, I don't know. They let a lot of people on. Do you have a railroad? They let people on on the railroad. Brigham Young liked to make deals with the railroad guys. That's part of the money. Or maybe a lot of women. I don't know. We got to have a flex.
He shows
extra.
I got 50 women. Don't ask about how old they are, but I got like 50 of them.
Probably. And then, we just look at all these things that, they've proven time and time again do not just come from magical stories. They're coming straight from Francis Barrett's The Magus. And so when we talk about this stuff, we have to know that it wasn't just folk magic. It's just silly. The Jupiter talisman comes straight from the whole Solomonic, the lesser and greater keys of Solomon. Like there's no argument there, period. I mean, I don't understand why people have a hard time with this. And it gets really interesting because, if that's
But
his
the
God.
debate is just that he didn't actually have this, right? It's not that
No, this
he
is
had
not
this
debated.
and these aren't
Nope.
Enochian magic.
No. Nope. This one's a good one. This one's that they know that it was his and they're like, folk magic. What do you do? This one was
The
proven.
Mormon church,
right.
the LDS church admits, yes, he had this talisman and here it is.
Yep, because they say that it was one of his most prized possessions that he owned.
Okay.
His wife reclaimed it and had to identify it, and it got handed down through the family. Yep.
Interesting.
The parchments, no.
How do you claim this and then not claim the hat, though? This seems way more damning than a hat.
The hat was like, yeah, what about the hat? But then the stone, it's all the whole necromancy business, right? Also, recently on a podcast I was listening to, and I do have to do a little more research about it. Somebody actually, I'm just minding my business, listening to things about Martinism, like one does. Okay. And this lady flips out and says, and Cagliostro was a complete influence on Joseph Smith, the Mormon. I almost dropped my coffee. I was like, whoa, what? I knew that, but I didn't know you knew that. Why do you know that? I just figured, but I didn't know. She must know. So I definitely want to see if I can talk to that lady.
Well, it seems like it would be self-evident, right? Because Cagliostro is the one that he was sort of like an early Crowley in a way, where he's popularizing especially Egyptian magic, which is kind of Joseph Smith's favorite thing.
But here we have this problem of no, it's not that. It's never that. Even if you read Dan Vogel's work or these other people's work that are anti-Mormon and they're telling you all the magic, they're like, but it wasn't that. It wasn't Mizraim. Nope. Look away. It wasn't that. And I'm like, yes, it was. Yes, it was. It's Martinism. And they do not want that brought up. They always blame it on the Scottish Rite. Always. They get kind of pissed if you bring up.
Wait, who blames the Scottish Rite? Who the hell's blaming the Scottish
Rite? Everybody. They blame
true.
bro. You should freaking, you should be like, this is some French peep over here. No, I know you guys are French too, but I'm just saying you should be like, it's older, at least, I don't know why they get so weird about it, but I will tell you 100%. They do not like when you bring that up. They're literally writing the book and they're like, and it wasn't the Mizraim.
Well, so my understanding is that the Mizraim Memphis is basically like a French take on Egyptian occult, like Western Egyptian occultism. And then the Scottish Rite is like the American version, but it's not really centric on Egyptian. And then Martinism is kind of like a European version of all of this. So you've kind of got like these three different approaches at occultism, but they have their own interpretations of everything.
Well, we've got Cagliostro, who kind of links up with these other ones, right? And we've got Willermoz, and then we've got Saint Martin. So they all three made this Martinist order. And it's a Kabbalistic arts. It makes complete sense. Why was Joseph Smith trying to learn Hebrew with this guy that he knew that spoke Jewish and converted over? I'll find his name. But I'm just like, no, this makes way more sense. It's older. I'm pretty sure it came over with his good friend Lumen Walters. Oh, Lumen. Okay, Lightbringer. Got it. But they're a practicing order. The problem is
he was named that.
He changed his name.
Okay. Maybe it is his fault. Okay.
Yeah. And so when we talk about Martinism, and nothing, to dog on any of these organizations, you can do whatever you want to do. Don't hurt kids and dogs and, innocent people. But if you want to go do whatever, I don't care. Stop lying to people. That's all I care about. But here's the thing. I just think it's interesting that every time somebody hits on this and is like, and I think this might fit better, they just, no, it's not that. No, look away. And they're practicing Solomonic order. So when we talk about practicing, this is the stuff they wear, and they practice magic. Like, they don't just learn about it. They don't just read some stuff. They practice. And interesting enough, on the fall equinox, they believe you can go out in the middle of the night and talk to spirits. What did Joseph Smith do? I don't know that. And they do it in the spring too. So
Well, does that
What?
mean he's a Martinist, or does that just mean that the Martinists and Joseph Smith both knew about this rule that applies on the spring equinox? Because either that's true or it's not, and if it's true, then knowing about it and doing something about it wouldn't make you a Martinist, right? It would just make you
Well,
aware of the spiritual rules.
isn't it fun that this is also a intermingling order that they can have women join? And what did Joseph do? I'm just saying that there's a lot of lines that we can look down and say, oh, that checks the box. Scottish Rite, Freemasonry, not so much. You have, different factions there for the women and men. Keep it separated. They're not coming together and doing this stuff
I
together.
don't even
but
know if there's a female version of Scottish Rite. I mean, there's Eastern Star for
Eastern
regular masonry, but I don't know if there's like
I
like
guess
a
that doesn't
female.
qualify. Yeah.
It's
But
no,
that's the
yeah,
most.
it stops short of all that. Like it's more generic than Scottish Rite.
But it's the closest thing we have. And that's why I say it just doesn't fit. The timing doesn't fit. None of it fits, but this does fit. And
Well,
also
there is
just to
co-masonry
mention,
in the States now. Just FYI, in case you're ever really, really curious, you too can join co-masonry.
no, I already was there once. I did that on accident.
Yeah, that's right. Whoops.
Nothing against it or anything. I just, freaked me out a little. And the thing also that we have to look at that's very interesting when we look at the Putnams and also this other the Christian minister, his name is Paris, I think, or I'll find the name, but he's the Christian minister of Salem at the time. And it's Paris because I thought it was Harris. He has slaves with him. And guess where they're from? They're from Barbados. And guess where we know Cagliostro went studying about, right? For some of this. He went, it fits really. I don't know. I just think it fits really well.
Well, what's the connection though? What's the direct connection with?
Well, it's not direct. But what if they learned the same thing, right? Like, what if this was spread through those people and they knew because they had actually made a witch cake? Do you know what a witch cake is? I'm going to shut this.
Is this like okay, well, describe it. I don't want to say something even more gross than whatever you're going to say. So.
Yeah, we can just remove.
Is this like the unholy Eucharist of like a black mass?
Yeah, if you can take that out, but like not like completely bounce it just in case we need it again, like to remove it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I don't know. Okay, so it's what they would do is they would have a cake
Light,
made.
yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's gross. And they would make it with urine and they would feed it to the dog. And if the dog got sick or started acting cuckoo, then you were a witch.
Okay, well let me ask you honest question. Do you eat a cake of light or do you eat a cake of witch cake?
I think you're safer.
You take a little bite of both.
Oof. I wouldn't take a bite of nothing. Give it to the dog. But they also hung dogs and killed dogs at this thing. I'm telling you, that's just not right. It's terrible.
Well, honestly, man, if you look, it wasn't long before the 1900s that treating a dog like it was literally just a utensil inside your house, like a tool inside your house. People would have, if you saw someone kicking their lawnmower, that's kind of how some people thought about if you saw someone kicking their dog back then. And it's like literally where you get there was one called like a turn spit bowl or something, and it was literally just a dog that stayed in your kitchen and helped turn meat on racks, and it wasn't like a family pet or anything. I don't know. That's
terrible.
And that was, it was pretty common. It was pretty common back then to just see them as these utilitarian beasts.
Well, like I said, they did that. That was the lady from Barbados that did this witch cake, trying to figure things out. And this was the slave of Samuel Paris, Parris, born 1653. He had been a merchant in both London and Barbados, and then later had this career in ministry. He also went to Harvard, and then he ended up returning to Barbados later. So here's the thing. I just speculate because you ask what the connection was. Well, did they have their own little club of Martinism or whatever he's learning over in Barbados with Samuel Smith? And Samuel Smith carries this down to, the next one and the next one, clear to Azael. Let's not forget that name. And then eventually to Joseph. And I just feel like that's a connection. Then we've got Lumen as a connection. We've got a lot of connections where people say he absolutely couldn't do that, blah, blah, blah. He didn't know anybody from France. Da, da, da. And I'm like, listen, lady. Yeah, no, there's connections, right? And we can't just chuck it out. And also, D. Michael Quinn got in deep shit for writing the book he did, but he still called it folk magic. He still tiptoed. He still did. So
I can
think-
speculate too. So here's another one to throw in case you haven't put this one through all your different studies. That Barbados was also at some points like a pirate checkpoint, like a pirate hangout, and there are some interpretations of piracy in general that the pirates were like a seafaring version of the Knights Templar or whatever evolved from Knights Templar into like the Phoenician Empire, and then like it continued, but that essentially pirates also held all this like profane knowledge, all this like occult knowledge that eventually makes its way into Barbados, and now anyone that's interacting with pirates at like a very deep level also are understanding like this Sufi wisdom that you would have learned from the Templar like 1,000 years prior.
Well, and what did they fly? What did pirates' flags look like? Oh, wait, they had a Templar cross on them. Big surprise. So, and then you got Canada connections. We've got Old World Micmac here tonight. We've talked a lot about, these Canadian connections where we get into, different things where we're like, all right, why are these Templars here? And then, all of a sudden everybody is named Mary and Joseph. And then they're actually encouraging the Mormon men to take on Native American wives, even though they were horribly racist. Why? What did they figure out?
Are those Lamanites, or is that not what a Lamanite
Well,
is?
We've had lots of talks back and forth about this as far as what they label them versus what Old World Micmac even postulates they got it wrong. And I think they might have. But we do see them taking these extra wives to make their children more white and delightsome. But we also know in magical families, what do? They keep it in the family. And it's not just Native Americans. It's more things than that. It's the Scottish, it's the Celtics. It's since we've talked last, we got to do a whole show on Joseph's lineage and his DNA and a bunch of stuff that I found out. But, we've got these old world stories. And yet we know that they've all got their own form of magic and their own form of their own inherited magic, right? So when we look at this, it's really not, exactly. It's not that big of a surprise that they did that because they were trying to cultivate their magic one up. And we were going to talk too a little about Bigfoot, which we're going to do another time. But, for Mormons, Bigfoot is Cain. There's multiple things about it. And the one strange thing that I found, but it was lore, is that, yes, Cain was a Bigfoot and he actually made babies with some of the Mormon women and some of their children are from Cain. That's weird.
Where does this come from? I've never heard that before.
Lore. That's lore. But I have multiple
lore from where? From the Mormon community?
From the Mormons. And the Mormons have a bunch of, I have proof of stories about Cain, not about the children, but about Cain. And him integrating, talking with different people, coming up on missionaries riding their horse. I've got like literally the screenshots of this. And so
Cain as Bigfoot or just Cain?
Yes. Nope. Cain is Bigfoot.
Because I know that there's one historical account of a Mormon elder of some kind that said that he met Cain walking on the road, and Cain told like he was this Bigfoot looking guy. And then he was like, hey, I'm biblical Cain, yada, yada. But I've always understood it like that was this one guy, and then other people that try and tie historical things, they talk about that one guy, but
not that one guy. There's multiple accounts, including Joseph F. Smith, descendant of Joseph Smith. And I'll show it to you right now. Let me pull it up. It's very interesting.
You have the papers, folks.
I got it because I can't just be talking nonsense. I mean, it is, their nonsense, but it's not my nonsense, basically. So, can you see this one?
Oh, I thought you were going to pull up a picture of Bigfoot.
Oh, I don't have the picture.
This is just like a newspaper article.
So, yeah, but this is what you're talking about, David W. Patton, right? This is his story.
Yeah, that's him.
But then we have other people talking about different accounts, including Elder Joseph Fielding Smith, a member of the Council of the 12, and he is literally the descendant of Hiram Smith. So they're talking about all of these people that, and it happens, they say that it happens every time they set the cornerstone for the temple. And guess what they stopped doing? They stopped doing those. They stopped doing cornerstone ceremonies now. I don't know why, but it's recent.
So
Maybe
whenever they
got
make
too
a
many
new
Bigfoot.
temple, this would
I don't
happen.
know. When they would lay the cornerstone, this is when this happened. And he said this would happen often. So it's just strange, but there's multiple people. David Patton. Then we got Joseph F. Smith. We got another guy. Let me find him. Let's see. Brother Patton and family. E. Wesley Smith. We've got non-specific apostle. Love that one. An unspecified grandfather. I mean, they just, yeah. There's been multiple people that have said that they've literally talked to these things and that they're Mormon Bigfoot. Yep. So, yeah.
If there is a Mormon Bigfoot, that would imply there has to be a Masonic Bigfoot.
And guess what? Guess who else brought it up? The prophet of the church. And that was Ezra Taft Benson. And he wrote a book and it was called The Miracle of Forgiveness. Don't read it if you really want to be forgiven. It makes you sad. It should be called The Unmiracle of Unforgiveness. But whatever. They used to give it to us, when we were young, whatever, like behave yourself or else this could happen to you. Maybe you'll be Bigfoot. No, not that. But he did mention Bigfoot in there for real. So
What would happen if you were bad, according to this book?
well, two ways to interpret it. Either you turn into a hairy Bigfoot or you turn into a black person. That's fun. No wonder they wanted to hide that. Yeah. So
And what is this called?
Yeah, the miracle of forgiveness. It's
The miracle of forgiveness. And
yep.
you give this to Mormon children and it tells them if they're bad, they turn black.
Not anymore. Not anymore. This was in
Did you get it when you were
no,
okay, so this like predates even
60 something. Yeah. So, and people are bringing up Merovingian, absolutely, that we need to have a talk about Joseph's DNA and the Merovingians and some stuff I found that way too. And so, yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff there. I don't know. It's weird. It gets weird. It always does. I just can't understand why every time I'm trying to listen to some other podcast about none of this stuff, there's a Mormon, I'm like, oh, of course there is. Why? What? Why are you here?
Well, yeah. I was telling you after, like, I'll send you some text back and forth about a show that I did with Jamie Hanshaw. We were talking about like Disney and Mormons, and I was like, let me just brush up really quick. I knew that there were some things. I felt that the movie Treasure Planet felt like it was kind of a Mormon movie, and man, it blew my mind because some people blame certain religions for like controlling Hollywood, and it's like they're only this % of the population. Let me tell you something. That Mormons in Hollywood, there are more Mormons in higher places of power and decision making, and it's a smaller demographic than any other small religious group in the States. It's 2%.
Forget about
Mormon.
Forget about Hollywood and go to NASA. That's even more fun.
Go to NASA, go to Vegas, go to the CIA, go to Disney. What was blowing my mind is that we wouldn't have any modern Disney movies. Snow White, Pinocchio, Mickey Mouse himself, DuckTales, all of the Fantasia, all came directly from Mormon.
What is it all about? It's all about magic. It's all about magic. What is it all about? Right. You're right. And they and why was what's his face? Why did I forget his name right now? The main space guy.
Werner von Braun?
Yes. Why was he in a theological film made only for Mormons? Why was he in that? Why was he there? What is happening there? Why are they such good friends with such strange people? Like we see this constantly and they're, at the top of the top of the top. And honestly, there's one comment that really gets me. And there's a few, but there's one from, I believe it's John Taylor. I have to look up the guy's name. He was super important, but they were talking about bringing Skull and Bones to Utah. And he was like listening and he said, they're doing a conspiracy to get rid of Mormonism. And so they were saying like, now we're in, we just have to now make them like us. And so it's like a different branch of Mormonism. And they got rid of a lot of the people that believed kind of a different way, which is where we see this split with Brigham and Joseph. And me and you've talked about this a lot, you know? So it's very interesting. It's very interesting to me to see the Reformation that really happened, to see this go underground and become a different thing underneath Brigham, because he was smart enough to not want to be tarred and feathered. Like, he was out.
Felt like, well, yeah, he was smarter. It kind of felt, this might be a bad, I don't know, maybe this is a good analogy, but you know that Romney, his money and a lot of his political power even come from Bain Capital, and Bain Capital essentially go into other businesses and do like hostile takeovers and then like force people out and sell off the asset, liquidate them and stuff.
Who was his partner?
Don't tell me it was Brigham Young.
Robert Gay of Howard Hughes's company. His dad was the one that worked for Hughes, and he worked for Bain. And
okay. Well, so
yeah.
But the point being is that Romney, in my mind, he's kind of like this Brigham Young, where it's like, hey, Joseph, nice company you got there. Let me just like move in and optimize some stuff for you. And before you know it, like you're no longer part of your own religion, and it's going in a completely different direction than you ever planned on it. And it never falls back. Like, one of the things that's the hardest for me to ignore is if you just get a picture of every single prophet of the LDS church in all of history, it goes young Joseph Smith, and then old guy, and then like beard, and then like shaved old guy, right? But it's never gone backwards in age by more than like a couple years, right? How old was Joseph Smith when he died?
He was still young. Yeah, he was
20s, early 30s or something.
Yeah, he was. I gotta look it up, but he's young. Yeah, early 30s.
So it's like, yeah, like, so when you say that Brigham Young had like a different vision, like, yeah, Brigham Young was like his grandpa, you know, and Joseph Smith was like this young buck, like had dreams and things that hadn't been shattered yet by reality.
Well, and we know he's obviously involved with witchcraft. Even if it's inadvertently, you would still be like, yeah, I remember that one time Grandpa hung that witch on the hill. Like, I mean, it's going to go through the family. That's not going to go away. Let's get real. That was a big deal. And so, you know, it just happens to be the same day that Joseph find the plates later. Like, that's bananas to me. I mean, hundreds of years later, but I'm just saying, like, the same exact day. That seems a little too on the nose for me. Was that a sacrifice? I don't know. Like, we know that right before, you know, all this goes down, Joseph's oldest brother dies, their oldest son, then Joseph's oldest child dies. He's a son. And what did they name that son? The same name as the dead brother. They named it Alvin, and he was severely deformed. Severely. And
you say Alvin? A-L?
Yeah.
Alvin?
Alvin.
Okay.
And they accidentally poisoned him
there somewhere, but I don't know where it is.
Yeah. They accidentally poisoned him, and because he had constipation, I guess. Whatever. I don't know. But yeah.
So, no, Joseph Smith wasn't 33 when he died. I looked it up. He was 38. He was 38 when he died.
There you go. So, I mean, it's just interesting to me. Like you said, he also married William Morgan's widow. Joseph Smith literally married her. So
allegedly.
And she threw a fit at his funeral. She threw a fat fit. That wasn't alleged. That was all over the place because she was embarrassing, because you don't do that as the 110th wife or something, whatever she was. You got to keep your composure. She's supposed to wear like light gray, not black, throwing herself on the coffin. I know that much. Yeah, his wife was pissed. And also, they don't go into what happens with, you know, a lot of the sons later, like even Brigham Young had like a cross-dressing son. Joseph Smith's last son, when he died, his wife was pregnant and he was mentally ill. And basically, you know, they named him David. And a lot of people speculate that all the sin was put on him. And like, he just, it was sad. The way he lived and died was awful. And so it was just, he was completely mentally ill and institutionalized most of his life. Like, this is pretty bad. So I don't know. It's very strange to me, but I do know this, you know, there's a lot of things about certain clubs the Mormons are always in. I mean, look at Mitt Romney, you know, he's over the Alfalfa Club. He's the president for a while. Like he's at the top of the top. Let's not play around. They've got secret combinations. Like, come on.
You think
get out.
he's second anointed, Mitt
Oh,
Romney?
110%. He
Okay.
is second. Yeah, for sure. He did get in trouble for that little scheme that you're talking about. And he got Robert Seagay chucked out of the Quorum of the 70. Once you're in, you're usually in for life.
Wait, hold on. Quorum of the set. How many quorums are there? There's a 12, a 50, and a 70?
No one's supposed to know about the 50. The 50 is a secret, and it's actually made up of non-Mormons and Mormons, and it kind of controls the money and the power.
Okay,
And so
but the 70 is not secret.
No. The
And the 12
70s,
is not secret.
yeah. No, not at all. And
Is there
so
another
those
one?
nope, just the total top, the first and second counselor and the prophet. So speaking of, that one's interesting. We don't even who Dallin H. Oaks, and it's funny, we always say their middle name. I don't know why, but they always do.
So
Ezra Taft Benson, Dallin H. Oaks. Yeah.
There's two quorums of the 70, apparently.
Oh, I've never heard
that's the quorum of the 140, really.
I don't know if that's the quorum of the 50 and the 70 is what I've always heard, but I don't know. So I've always heard a 50 and a 70. But either way, whichever, I've only heard of the two. But
this is too much math for Mormonism.
Yeah. Well, it's all about that. But anyway, yeah, it gets interesting. And the guy now that is the prophet of the church, he was involved in he tried to electrocute the gay out of people when he was younger, CIA affiliated. There's documents to prove it.
Turns out it makes you gay, actually. Being electrocuted will make you gay.
Yeah, he definitely didn't do a good job then, because he was definitely electrocuting everybody out there at BYU. He gets involved in some trouble. He gets fired from BYU. Who his family, his great uncle was the not smart one. This is actually, Martin Harris, where.
Oh yeah, the dumb guy.
Yeah, that's his great uncle. Do you know Martin Harris once said, since we're talking about Bigfoot and animals, he said he walked in the woods as one does, and God came to him as a deer. And so
you know for a fact that he came and he told Joseph about that, and he's like, sure he did, Martin. Sure he did.
Oh dear. Oh boy. I know another guy came and told him, hey, I got a rock and I got some prophecies too. And he's like, no, you don't. Throw it away.
Yeah. I mean, you know what it is though? If you are like a prophet and you were able to convince everyone, you're gonna be attracting people out of the woodwork. It's like, Joseph, I got a pet rock too. Look, my rock talks to me. And you kind of have to like deal with that, but you can't really acknowledge it because then they would be competing for your authority, right? So you got to shut them all down.
Well, and then what happens as everybody's supposed to, go behind his son upholding the church, but that's not what happened. And Brigham kind of takes over and does a hostile takeover. Mother Smith is not one to be messed with, though. She kind of did a flex. She wrote a book and she put some secrets in there that only he would understand. And it's very interesting what she did. I actually applaud her. He ended up having to pay her for a very long time because of it. I think she was going to expose a lot of the stuff, and Dartmouth and all these different connections that we're talking about. Oh, Universalist is what I meant to tell you earlier about the religion. They were
close. I said Unitarian.
Yeah. So, and she was putting the flex on old Brigham, and he ordered to have all the books destroyed, and then they didn't. And it was a whole scandal. And even to this day, if you don't get a certain version of that book that Mother Smith wrote, it's missing pieces because they cut it up. So pretty fun. Yeah, it's pretty fun. But Martin Harris was not smart. He was opposite of smart. He was very interesting, though. But all these people, when you're talking about when the church breaks up and there isn't a specific line to take over, all these people went their own separate ways. That's where we get the guy that went out to Wisconsin and he became king of Beaver Island. And, I got relatives from that disaster. And then we got, other people going other ways. And I always find it interesting when people talk about the satanic branch of the LDS. That is where this comes in. And I do think they mean like a darker magical order where they kept to more of the magic, but took it like maybe a step toward Crowley. Yeah.
So there's satanic Mormons.
Well, Russell M. Nelson's daughter was involved in quite the scandal that was a sexual abuse scandal. If you read the Pace memo about, and it was unfounded, so I guess she's innocent, where they were taking kids underneath the temple in the basement and doing some quite strange things, let alone.
Okay. I mean, this sounds like standard fare satanic panic stuff. This is like McMartin preschool territory.
But there's a lot of evidence for this one, let alone the guy that was Levitt was one of the attorneys, attorney general here. And in the middle of some press conference, he just stood up and went, "I am not a cannibal and I do not eat children." Everybody went, "No one asked you, bro." Levitt, he was the attorney general. He literally said this on TV. And then he had to move to Scotland and he bought a castle. So
where and those castles,
kidding.
I believe, actually come stocked with children for you to eat. So that's kind of crazy that he went there first.
Oh, yeah. I'm not even kidding. That one, it's a very interesting story. There's a lot of proof on this one, like actual proof and statements, and it's really.
So I don't think that this is too crazy. I mean, I realize that it's controversial to say that, but let's imagine that you are as hardcore of a Mormon that you possibly could be, and that you genuinely do believe that Joseph Smith was using magic and talismans and Enochi magic and reading the Magus and, reading all this like Cagliostro style Memphis Mizraim. Let's just say that you believed all that and you got that deep into it. There is like a sliding scale where you're like, you know what? I'm going to be 10 times as magic as Joseph Smith ever did. And this does start venturing, especially if you believe the necromancy stuff, it ventures into some dark territory where I guess you could say that it would be like satanic Mormonism, but I don't know if it is this calling they themselves call it, or other Mormons looking at them are like, those are satanic Mormons.
Other people have labeled it. Listen, there was this chick that used to do a YouTube channel on it, and she made it on Sam. And guess what? As soon as she made it on Sam, she freaking disappeared. And now she has a cooking show, and she just talks about making weed bread or shit. For real. This girl quit talking about it. She just buckled it up, and that was it. For real.
I'm talking about satanic Mormonism?
Yeah. Yeah, she made it on Sam. You guys can find it on there if you put in Satanic Church of Mormon or something. And she made it on. I think her name was Chiller Queen. And then boom, she was gone. She doesn't do it anymore. She has a cooking show. So I'm not playing. And that's why I'm careful what I say about Skinwalker Ranch, dude. That's why I'm careful what I say about certain people.
Well, how do you know they didn't reach out and give her money? Maybe you should lean into it, and then to be silent, they'll just.
I'd never sell out.
Like, okay.
I'm an asshole. Yeah, I don't know, but they did start a weed cooking show, not just a cooking show. Yeah.
So this is a good idea. We start a cooking show so that we can infiltrate other cooking shows.
That's it. That's what we're gonna do. You're too busy.
I know. One day.
Yeah, we can't even do 2 shows a month.
we can maybe get there. I don't know.
You're busy. Yeah, you're doing. You've been busy with. We've read the documents. I saw you got a new one for Mondays there too.
So I saw. I don't know if they're still in here. I saw someone was posting that we got everything wrong with. What was it? The Idaho murders. I'm open to it, man. I'm open if there's some alternative. So I just started earlier today, on Mondays going forward. I'm dropping some mainstream documentary reviews, and we started out on true crime, and we watched the 3 different documentaries about the Idaho murders, and I walked away with a certain impression just from the 3 mainstream documentaries. So maybe I got MK Ultra side, like hoodwinked a little bit. I won't deny that might have happened. But I came away with my own opinions on it, and it just seemed like it was a silly case that got out of control on TikTok.
I haven't gone through it enough because anything that's relevant to the here and now, even with Charlie Kirk and everything that's happened, I'm really careful, because if we're wrong and you say it didn't happen and it did happen, I just don't know how I feel about that. Like I've said small bits and pieces. By the way, right before he got murked, he was talking about Mormons. Just so people know, there's a clip out there where he talks about his team being Mormons, on how much he loved the Mormons, and then he said there wasn't factual proof for the Book of Mormon. And the next thing we know, bam! So I don't know what's going on there. All I do know is I don't think you should do that. I don't
Are
know.
there any Mormon assassins that have ever
They're
been
all in
known
the
out there?
CIA. Hell yes, there is.
Okay, I
There,
guess so. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, they're all in there. And I think what is happening is there's a new age form of Mormonism that is trying to bring back, and maybe this is your flavor. You got to find them. I don't know. Ask Andreas. So the new age type where they're like woo woo new age, more into the magical stuff, and they're not necessarily in with the whole how will I put this? 3-letter religion. Okay. The
Okay.
Israeli
Okay. Yeah.
religion. Whereas the old Mormons are absolutely in bed with them and have been for a very long time. And so when we look at those two things, I don't know that you can really talk about that unless you want to get murked, because the old Mormons still running this bitch. Like they got all the money, and maybe you guys are coming up and that's cool and all, but you just don't want to go there. I think that that's going to be a problem. So there's that. That's my thoughts anyway. It's just a thought. I have no proof.
Do you think when a Mormon gets high up in the CIA, are they still more dedicated to the Mormon church, or do you think some of them are like more dedicated to the CIA?
That's a hard one, because they hate the government, but they love the government. They hate the government. I know, it's weird, right? Yeah, I'm not suicidal either. Somebody put that in the comments. I'm just reading it. Anyway, so I don't know. I really truly believe there is no line between the two anymore so much for the true blue TBM Mormons, right? But these new ones are a little different, and I can't prove that they even exist, but I see some things, right? I see these magical things that certain people are saying, and on TikTok and on Instagram, and I'm like, oh, that seems different. I hope you're going to make it out okay. Like, I don't know that that's something you want to go public with right there, but whatever. I don't know. So yeah, it's a little scary. Somebody said, I think she meant LDS. No, I mean Mormons, because the Mormons are what they were when I grew up.
No?
Well, they don't like to be called that anymore, but absolutely, when I grew up, they were called Mormons. So that's what I call them.
Wait, who doesn't like Mormons? Don't like to be called Mormons?
Yeah, they don't want to be called it anymore. And so, whatever. A lot of people say the LDS is more the church entity with like the banking CIA group, and Mormons are more magical and they're over here in this group. But when I was young, it was all the same. So that's what I'll probably
correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're in the LDS, what is your holy book called? What's the name of your holy book?
Oh, it's all the same. Yeah, except
isn't it called the Book of Mormon?
Well, it is, but if you're FLDS or an older LDS, they do have the unabridged versions, and they still do not intermingle with Black people, and there's a whole lot more rules.
But but they're all called Book of Mormon, are they not?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, they're Mormon. I don't understand what the debate's about.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the president of the church said not to call them Mormon, but I don't care. When I was young, the president of the church said we were proud to be Mormons. There was a slogan for that. So like it is what it is. Like that was literally a real slogan when I was growing up, saying you should be proud to be Mormons and stand up to be Mormon and da da da. Like, so they change it with every flavor. It's like ice cream. It's like this guy likes vanilla better than mint, and the last guy liked mint. So you got to do what they say this time. And I just don't play their games because I'm out. So yeah, I don't care about their words.
It's their N word. It's just the M word. And if you say Mormon with a hard R, then it's actually derogatory.
Yep, I'm gonna say what I want to say, because I
call them like Mormons and get around it.
I mean, I grew up in it, and it is literally my culture. So I'm gonna say what I grew up as, because it's part of my life. But I understand that the LDS church wants to be called that now. But for me, I'm going to call it what I grew up with, because that's what it was.
Okay, I honestly, maybe you've mentioned that before, but I never knew that they were not supposed to refer to themselves as Mormons. And it's even you telling me it doesn't make sense because I don't know, like that ship has sailed over
I
100 years
know.
ago. Like you can't just say, it's what was the Michael Scott, like he just declires bankruptcy by screaming
Right.
it out loud. Like it doesn't work like that. There's way
He's
more to
like,
go into it.
no, I'm not that. No, I'm not gonna be that. And I think it's because, there's a lot of negative connotation mixed in with it. So yeah, it's like a slur to them, but it didn't used to be. The thing that's weird is they literally had a slogan that used to say, "I'm proud to be a Mormon." So I'm like, why did this change? But I mean, whichever way they do it, it who knows what Oaks will do. Who knows what President Oaks will do? It's wild. Who knows? Yeah, no, I understand, Bloody. No, I'm not being mean. I'm just saying that's like for me what I say. No, I knew what you were doing. I
Yeah,
know she was
we're
doing.
not disagreeing.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
yeah.
it's still just it's hard to understand hearing it for the first time. I get it, but it doesn't make sense still.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me, but I get what she was doing there. She was trying to explain what the prophets of the church say now. And they're trying to rebrand everything, just like they rebranded that they were from Palmyra, New York. You've never ever once heard about Joseph Smith being from Massachusetts. No one talks about that. No one says, "What? Wait, what? What are you talking about?" There was nothing about that in anything I ever read. And also supposedly, they lost all their money cuz his mother had quite a dowry when she got married because they had money. And so both families had money. And the brother had done well in business and gave her this big dowry that they had supposedly lost it in ginseng. That's the biggest far-fetched shit I've ever heard. I don't know what the story is with that one, but there's a story there. I'll have to figure that out because I don't know. Like, we put all our money in the ginseng, so now we don't have any more money. Like, what? What are you talking about? It seems strange. And, they're running out of town just the same time that the Dartmouth doctor's running out of town because they ran him out of town for digging up bodies. And what did Joseph's dad do again? Oh, that's right, he was a treasure digger. Why did they sleep by Alvin's body for 3 weeks? Well, if I was a digger of some sort and I was worried about somebody doing unto me what I had done unto others, a little geening out in the cemetery, I don't know that I would want my son out there alone at night.
Is that what it was? Because I mean,
Yeah,
I
I'm not
this
kidding.
is I don't understand how the treasure digging or ghost logic works, but if you've got a brother or a son that was treasure digging with you and then they die, I would go out into the middle of the field with like their ashes or by
For
like
weeks.
a headstone or something and be like, because now they can like float underground and they can like find the treasure and point it
Yeah.
out to you and come back up and be like, it's right down here, right?
Well, they did say that the angel required Alvin to come the next time they met, right? So the problem with that was he died. So everybody jokes that he had a little hand in bringing forth Mormonism. And we know that they dug up, Hiram and Joseph. We know that they dug up all these people a whole bunch of times. They moved Hiram and Joseph 3 times that they'll actually admit to. Do I think there's any bones anywhere for them people anymore? Well, I don't think they're in the dirt. That's for sure. I mean,
They'd be worth too much.
the Templars carried around a head, so they say. So I just think they figured out some things and they wanted to make sure, right? I mean, I don't think they'd want them just loosey goosey somewhere. No, no way. Your spirit's supposedly stuck in your skull. So,
Well, let me bring us in for a landing a little bit. So we're coming up on Halloween, and I realize that Mormons are not the same as Jehovah's Witnesses.
right.
Mormons, they do celebrate Halloween, right? They can dress
They
up and
love it.
trick or treat.
Yeah.
Yeah, they love it, right?
They absolutely one up each other. It is when you live in Utah for all holidays, it is like the one up capital of the universe. So everybody decorates to the max, but they do Halloween carnivals at the church. They do trunk or treat at the church. They're completely involved. Yeah, 100%.
Are there any costumes off limits in Mormonism?
No, You could go as a dead
Well,
serial
I think
killer.
you answered a little too fast. I can come up with some examples. You'd be like, well, no, that's not allowed. Like,
My kids have been some.
can you be a sexy nurse Mormon? I feel like that would probably not be allowed, right? Or is that normal now, even in the Mormon community?
Have you ever seen the dumb Mormon wives show? All right. It's like their time to shine. It's the night that you can leave that stuff off, your magical Mormon undies, and be a little controversial. And they
Okay.
do.
You can dress up like, well, I was gonna say dress up like the devil, but I guess in the endowment ceremony you're allowed to dress
They
up
have the devil there.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess nothing here really is off limits.
Yeah. Like the kids have gone all bloody and weird when they were young, like with zipper face and crazy stuff. Like they've never said anything. They don't care.
Blackface.
Well, they might like that one too much. I don't know.
That's very, very historically accurate too.
Yeah. It's that's kind of the other way that goes for the Bigfoot. Part of it is Nephilim Cain. The other half is big scary black people is basically what they said. And I'm like, nope, that is bad. I'm like, okay, we're leaving that there. I'm going to go with the hairy Nephilim.
When you were younger, trick-or-treating on Halloween as a Mormon, what was like the best thing? I mean, maybe it's just any normal kid. Maybe I'm just throwing the Mormon part in, but is there like certain things that you'd look out for? Like what was the best candy in like a Mormon neighborhood? Do they just give out like vanilla wafers and that's it?
Oh no. So let me give an example. The houses down the street, they're literally micro mansions.
Like right now in 2025?
Right now. And we take our kids down there because they do bounce houses in the front yard. They have hot cocoa. They do hot cider. They have full-size candy bars.
Wait,
and not
hot drinks.
Yes. They have a
Halloween
table
only, or like hot drinks anytime they want now.
No, this is just for Halloween. And they open up their big mansions and they have these big tables and tables full of, just pick one, but they're king-size candy bars. You can pick what the parents too. Like this is just a few houses near me.
If you have the bucket that says just pick just one, please, would most more unattended, if there was no adults around, would most Mormon kids only take one or
no? And last year they had a cotton candy thingy. Last year they had a guy making full on cotton candy for everybody, like a cotton candy machine guy. Yeah,
this is more hardcore than any I've ever heard of. Any town going out, even in Salem, they don't do cotton candy.
I'm telling you, right? Yeah, no, they go wild.
Hot chocolate, okay.
Right now, like 2 blocks from my mom, there is a yard, and we don't want to talk about my yard because I'm just as bad. But they have like at least 4. Like 30 to 50 feet tall, like those huge skeletons. I don't know how tall they are, but they're the giant skeletons. And like people just go crazy here, like crazy.
Is there any chance during October, is there ever a Mormon temple where people can go to temple dressed up as like zombies and vampires?
You can go to the mall.
Not allowed in the temple. Okay, that's
too good. Yeah, you can go to the church parking lot, but you know that the church. So if there's any temple near you that is getting dedicated soon, if you want to go to the temple before it's dedicated, of course, nothing weird's going to be happening at that time, which is funny because people always say, well, you can go to the temple before they're dedicated. I'm like, yeah, well, they're not doing anything then, you dum-dum. Like you're just walking through a building, but you can go walk through the building. But the Salt Lake City one is coming up. So you might want to check into that where you're coming out soon. So
I'm just going to be in the airport for a layover in Salt Lake City, but it's
you
now
gotta come out for more than that.
It's found its way onto my top 10 of places that I want to go now, worldwide. Like Salt Lake City's actually like in my top 10 now because I've been lucky enough to go to some of my other top 10, so I've bumped them all out.
Well, you should check around you, like your area. Any of the temples that are brand new, before they're sealed, they do this open house, and you can go for free. So
before they're sealed, do they only seal once, or is this like a frequent thing?
No, they dedicate them. So before they do anything in them that's like, their stuff, any of their ceremonies, they have people come and see how beautiful the buildings are. That's where all the pictures of the temples come from. They're like, see, there's nothing spooky here. You silly guys, there's no devil in this ceremony. I'm like, yeah, there's no ceremony. What are you talking about? Of course not. Like, I was there. I know the devil comes. I was there. But yeah, it's I actually heard they changed it. I've heard that they've kind of given up on people. I think they made it, instead of a 2-hour magical, masonry thing where you have to memorize stuff, right? Okay, you understand about how important memorization is with things. Now they're like, here's some cue cards. Okay, Lucy,
Yeah.
you come with me. Come and say these words right here, and then move to the second. Go to the second stall. Go. And they don't care if you learn
This is
anything.
actually the fault of Europe, as I understand it, and to bring it full circle back to Disney again, that in 1955, I think it was, that the Mormon Church was able to get a 3-minute segment of Fantasia, and they put that in the endowment ceremony. And the reason that they did it was because they had just opened the first European temple in Switzerland, and in order to do this endowment ceremony, normally, like you said, they would have to, like, everyone has to memorize all these lines. But now, since it's the first one in Europe, all these different languages are coming together. And it's like, what is, like, that guy going to do his part in like Swedish and that guy's going to do his part in Dutch? No. So they standardize it and they turn it into a more of a passive experience where you don't have to memorize anything. You just kind of watch like a little movie that they put on, or have people come and recite cue cards. And now one of the recent episodes we did was about how they just did a temple right outside the Vatican. So now here's another version of, you can't expect everyone that's going to be in Rome and outside the Vatican to all be speaking the exact same language. And if this is your one chance to get them through the ceremony, then you have to cater to more people than less. So yeah, it's kind of they're no longer doing like the good old part that like grandma, they're not cutting grandma on the knee anymore like they used to.
Well, grandma was naked in the bathtub, like, and so look, I just am saying this. Do you really think that they shortened their ceremonies for their people? I don't think they did. I think their ceremonies are longer and just as magical as they ever were. The rest of us are porch Mormons. Make it through cattle guard. Come on, people. We got to make this look real. And that's all they care about, in my opinion. That's just an opinion. So,
that would be sad. I don't know.
yeah,
maybe.
I think they care about some. I mean, I think that they know who is, special, and maybe they'll have them go. But same thing for the missions, like if they're going on a mission, that's the perfect time to say, oh yes, little Johnny went on a mission to the Netherlands. No, he didn't. He went off to magic school and learned some abracadabra. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's perfect. Think about it. It is perfect to send them off to a mystery school and have them learn all the things they need to know, or go to CIA training or whatever they're doing. And then it's covered up by the regular people riding their bikes and getting them stolen, like we've talked about.
What do they call them? The muggles?
Right, they're muggles. Yeah, the muggles. Yeah,
that would be a great story too. If the Mormon missionary gets assigned to Hogwarts and he's like, "Wait, what?"
You would love it. They would understand. Like, they would get it, because I mean, they're talking to toads. Think about this. I mean, we know about the toads, and even though they're not, that's a whole thing. But anyways, the elementals. Speaking of elementals, one of the things they did in Salem to check the people for, this is bad. I forgot to tell you this earlier. This is funny, kind of.
I assume it wasn't a handshake.
Nope. One of their examinations, and most of these people are women, they had to check them for their witch's titty. I'm not kidding. And they had to feel their boobs, and like some made casts of their boobs. And if their boobs were weird or they had an extra nipple, that was to feed their elemental. I'm not kidding.
Oh, I've heard about that one before.
Mm-hmm.
That's the witch's nipple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you have like a tail or something, like it's like,
a mole. What if you have a mole? Shit, you're in trouble. Oh my gosh. Like, I mean, these were over 50-year-old women.
This is like some old like 1500s masonry talk here, but there was a very ancient version of masonry when this was also part of the initiation ritual. Is that, and people are going to take this in a weird sexual way, and I don't think it was like that, but who knows, but that you'd basically have to strip down and they would inspect your entire body and looking for flaws, and that it was this like over application of a previous rule. It basically said, if you want to be an operative mason and actually work and climb and like do the work, that you couldn't have any physical deformities to you. And what they were really talking about was like, you can't have a crooked finger, you can't be missing a leg, like all these things. But over time, as the game of telephone gets played, it almost turned into like, if you've got a nasty looking mole or something on your shoulder, like that's the mark of an impure person, that you inherently have some sort of defect with you personally, and now you can't be a Mason for that either. And they over time they like phased all that out, but that's sort of the same thing. Like if you had a witch's tit, you can't be a Mason.
Why do you think Joseph Smith fought so hard to keep his leg? Right? He had typhoid fever, and his mother and he fought to keep that leg. And they actually signed up for like an experimental surgery, basically, and went through tons of pain. In fact, at one point they said they let off over 2 quarts of pus from his leg. And he's like 9. Like he's this little kid. And this is going on, and they're just actually removing the infected bone instead of actually removing the leg. And he was one of the first where this really worked. Funny enough, his mom couldn't remember the doctor's name. And I found it super interesting because his last name was Smith. Nathaniel Smith. He went on to form another medical school. That's right, the medical school at Yale. And on we go. They say they're not related. They're related on both sides as very distant cousins of both parents. So, and they'll just say they're not. And that's great. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. But, it's interesting to me that what you're mentioning with the Mormon church was only phased out not very long ago, because my great-grandma, not my great-great-grandma, my great-grandma was naked in a tub being examined and totally immersed in oil. And she told me to shut my damn mouth in the middle of the temple thing as I'm like crying. She was not amused. She basically told me to button it up. And she literally said, I was completely naked. Quit your whining. She did. She told me to cut it out. So, and for the alcohol thing, yeah, he couldn't drink alcohol, but we're not 100% sure if he drank beer or not, because they could drink beer as long as they made it. So they had a beer store. Actually, they ran a beer and something store, like goodies. But they have to make their own, and it's a whole thing. So,
and you're not supposed to you can't get high on your own supply. I assume that came from the Mormons originally.
Well, they would drink, but his dad was an alcoholic, so there was some back and forth on that. And then, even in the layman's, there's some things about depression, because if you drink too much, you're probably not in the best mental health. So there was stuff about that. It's pretty interesting.
What's too much?
I think you can't be drunk. You can't be a drunkard. So his dad kind of had a rep. In fact, his dad was not allowed to join Masonry for I don't know if he ever could, because he just couldn't get it together. The brother, all of them, everybody else, but his dad had a rough time. But if he would have lost his leg, who knows what would have happened there, right? You can't be a Mason then. That was all he ever wanted. They literally, when he was born, he came out with the caul, which means the bag intact. So when they came out, his dad ran all around. This is like tons of people have wrote this down in their diaries and different accounts, that he was going to be a seer. And that was because he was born with the veil over his eyes. And so they literally said they knew from a very young age that he would be, the seer. So also, fun fact for people that don't know, one of Joseph's very first rocks, little magic rocks he was ever exposed to, was the green one I showed you last time. I can even pull it up if we want. It was Sally Chase's rock. And Sally Chase's rock was his neighbor. And his neighbor went on to marry Dr. Nathaniel Smith, not apparently related. I love it. I love how they just deny so bad. Like, I'm like, lean into it. Yeah. See, yeah, we freaking love Bigfoot. Yeah. I don't know why there's so much denial. All right. If you want to add that, there's Sally Chase's rock. And that was the first one he ever used. He was pretty enamored with it. He went on to find his own on the Chase property, digging a well. So his was this one, so people can know. And he stole it, but whatever.
Is this the chocolate one?
Yeah, I don't think this is the magic one. Honestly, they say this is, but I don't think it is, only because of the fact that this white one we only have a rendition of the white one, and it has never ever been photographed, and it's locked up, like down in the tunnels. So I'm if I was a betting lady, I would say maybe the white one. But hey, what do I know? He had a lot of them. He even had one that looked like a big piece of poo. So it was a
What are the
mudstone.
chances that Joseph Smith found every single magical rock in the entire United States and there's no more left?
I mean, hey, he did know what he was doing. I mean, he was digging up,
But I mean, if one guy can get in possession of 3 or 4 magical seer stones in his short life of like 38 years, and he found most of those but before he was even 30, right? So that means statistically every one of us could potentially be finding 3 or 4 magic stones each. And there's how many
Well, he
people in the
had some
United
cool
States? Like,
stuff.
that's a lot
Yeah.
of magic seer stones.
I mean, he had the stones. He had, the bones of giants. He had 2 mummies, I think 2 or more mummies. They were actually charging admission to come and see the mummies at his mom's house. I mean, that's pretty fascinating. If nothing else, I'll give Joseph this, and this is why I always tell you when you make me do the choice between Brigham and Joseph, that I would definitely choose Joseph if I had no other choice, right? No other choice. Because he did believe in what he was doing, and damn, he was interesting. He really was interesting. Brigham was kind of a dick. I mean, whatever. Yeah, he had ties to the railroad, and that's where it all goes. I'm running away from America. Hey, can you help us build the railroad? Sure we can. They didn't call on the
He
phone.
knew
I
what
don't
he was
know.
doing. I think he was smart.
Yeah.
He understood how to play the game more than Joseph Smith did.
And what did he do? He sent people not only there, but to Canada, Mexico, real Mexico, further. That's where the Romneys went. And they
Hawaii,
settled
right? Isn't he the one that started the
Hawaii.
Hawaii thing?
Guess who did who was it that pulled Hawaii together? The gays. The gays. And
Wait,
back to Howard
you have to be
Hughes.
more specific now.
I know. It's Bill Gay who worked for Howard Hughes. He's the one that did the Polynesian Center out there. He's the one that made that whole thing mainstream. Yep, 100%. And these families are connected to every other very important family, let alone the fact that they say they're Merovingian. I've got some really interesting stuff for a DNA show on Joseph Smith. So
Okay, well we've got one of those coming up. What else are you doing? Every time we talk, you're like you're going on a bigger and bigger show. What's the big one now? You get interviewed by like Obama or something?
Yeah,
Amy
Obama,
Poehler?
no. Not Obama. Yikes. I have to comment on this. Brigham. Oh, yeah. Brigham was a huge dick. Yeah, he was, but he had a small one. I think you're right because he had 50 wives and 55 children. The math ain't mathin'. Yikes. So I just wanted to say that. I think Joseph was far better at keeping his cup from overflowing and keeping his magical practices. We'll say that. Uh, I did go on a big show and I'm hoping it will be out very soon. I went on Almost False. So that should be out really soon.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. What have you been up to?
What happened up to? Well, I guess I'll just plug the Under the Dock series again, and also for the rest of this entire month. I don't know why. I think part of it is just because I'm trying to get the episodes when I record them. Now, if we talk about something topical and then it comes out like a month later, it's like a little bit dated. So I'm trying to just get rid of all my entire backlog and just fly by the seat of my pants here. So for the rest of this month, every single day, I've got one, sometimes two, sometimes 3 brand new premiere show. Like today, there was a premiere at 1 o'clock, a premiere at 3:30 for my interview, and now we're doing a live. So that's 3 shows in one day, and it's going to be kind of like that for the rest of this entire month. Every single day on YouTube at 3:30 Eastern, you'll find some kind of a new interview or documentary review or conspiracy something on my YouTube channel, and or Occult Disney, and that'll go all the way through the end of the month. And then on 30th and 31st, we've got 2 Halloween movies for Occult Disney. We're doing Hocus Pocus, and then we're doing Halloween Town, and yeah, so that's if you want just like nonstop content for the rest of this entire month and it's on the audio podcast too. So just look up Paranoid American.
Now I'm sad because I didn't get asked.
For
I'm
which
just
one?
kidding. No, to be on your every day of the month, October.
Well, it's again, I'm flushing my backlog here,
Teasing.
so I'm not like
teasing.
recording.
You're like, I'm not recording every day.
We're ready
Yeah,
to
no,
have
I
you
get
on
it.
to call Disney. Well, whenever you want to pick
I'm
out
ready.
a movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was supposed to be on. We were gonna do one, and then I think it just got too busy. It was I think Elsa. I can't remember. It was a while back, but we never set it up, and it got lost in the sauce because we were both going crazy. We've both been working like wild, and
Well,
so
we'll do it before the year's up for sure. You'll be on
always
Occult
fun.
Disney this year.
People always ask me about this show. As many shows as I do, which I swear I'd only ever do one show, and like as far as shows go, now I'm like in I don't know 5 or 6 shows. I don't even know anymore, but it's been fun. You know, I do enjoy it, but we get a lot of compliments on this show. So
It's a great
people like
show.
it.
It seriously is.
Yeah, I think people like it. Hopefully, I think we
All right,
try
well-
to bring interesting things each time.
If you want more of these shows and you don't want us to end it, we'll end it. This could be the last show ever if you guys don't do the little thumbs up, hit the little thumbs up and hit the subscribe and add a little comment. And if you don't do that, this is literally the last show and you'll never hear from us again.
Oh, we're going to be devastated. And please go give us an Apple review because they matter. They really do. So anyway, that's my little speech on it. Also, if you guys are only watching me on YouTube, you're getting at least only half of my shows because they ding me so much. I got tired of it. And I have over 200 shows on my Spotify. So
Okay. I accidentally didn't censor interview that I had with Miriam Hanine, the bee lady that also did the
no.
George Floyd. No, everything's fine.
Oh,
'cause
good.
YouTube has been doing this weird thing where they're giving people second chances now. They're letting you talk
Oh.
about things they didn't let you talk. I think it's a honeypot, but either way, I
Oh.
forgot the censor and it totally was fine. It played ads. I didn't get a strike or anything. So I don't know.
Every time
Maybe it's new.
Every time I do one about Mormonism with JJ, they demonetize me immediately.
Okay, well, I think I'm bringing a level of respect that maybe you guys aren't bringing to that particular show, to the Mormon Church.
He likes
That's
to
all
bring
it is.
clips. He likes to do clips, and they.
Okay, well, that's also probably part of it.
Yep, it's a situation, but that's all right. I do have a ton more content on there and on my Patreon. We're still doing the medical series, and this month we are doing grotesque medical things that can happen to you, and there is some crazy things. So
I'm
yeah,
out. I can't take it. I can't take any of
so
that.
much. Yeah. Ugh.
Okay, well,
It's-
we'll follow Heidi for weird medical stuff, or follow me for fun stuff, fun non-medical stuff.
There it is. We got
right.
2 different types.
Happy Halloween. Go out there and I don't know. What did you say the best Mormon candies were?
Go get your cotton candy, king size candy bar, and your cocoa to go.
That's not even a real thing. But okay, go get your hot chocolate and apple cider and cotton candy for Halloween. That's not a thing.
It's here. Yeah.
Paranoid. Yo. I scribble my life away, driven to write the page. Will it enlighten your brain? Give you the flight, my plane, paper the highs ablaze. Somewhat of an amazing feel when it's real, the real, you will engage it. Your favorite, of course, the lord of an arrangement. I gave you the proper results to hit the pavement. If they get emotional, hey, maybe your language, a game, how they playing it well without Lakers. Evade them, whatever the cost, they are the shapeshift. Snakes get decapitated, met is the apex. Execution of flame you out, nuclear bombs distributed at war, rather gruesome for eyes to see. Max them out, then I light my trees. Blow it off in the face, you're despising me for what though? Calculated and rather cutthroat. Paranoid American must be all the blood smoke for real. Lord, give me a day away, vacate. They wait around to hate whatever they say. Man, it's not in the least bit. We get heavy rotate when the beat hits, so thank us, you're welcome. Fuck the niggas for real, you're welcome. They ain't never had a deal, you're welcome. Man, they lacking appeal, you're welcome. Yet they doing it still, you're welcome.